My name is Rose Jones. I'm 25 years old. People say houses remember you. Mine only remembered what I did. The meals I cooked that no one thanked me for. The socks I found under couches. The bedtime stories I read. While someone else posted photos captioned family time. I was the echo in the hallways, the voice you only notice when it goes quiet. It happened on a Tuesday, the kind of evening that smells like reheated sauce and tired arguments. Mom, Elaine, dropped her fork against a chipped plate, looked at me over the rim of her cheap wine, and said it like a punchline. If you want to live here, you'll have to start paying rent. Silence, silence for one careful second, then laughter. Ethan, my older brother, king of the couch, barked out a laugh without pausing his game. Camila, his wife, giggled from the kitchen island, twirling a glass of Cabernet like she'd earned it. Mom smirked in that way she has when she thinks she's serving wisdom instead of acid. Rent. I was standing by the stove with a towel over my shoulder and a laundry basket hooked on my hip, a loop I'd run so many times my body didn't need instructions anymore. Dinner, dishes, twins' bath, twins' bedtime, switch laundry, label lunches, set the coffee, answer the school email. Mom didn't read. I knew the twins' shoe sizes, their favorite bedtime songs, the way one of them held his breath before he cried. I also knew the due dates on the bills because they were set to my inbox. I knew which lights flickered when the power surge hit. I knew every chore nobody else noticed had already been done. Family contributes, Mom added, tipping her chin, like she expected applause. You're not a guest here, Rose. I didn't say a word. Not a single syllable about the groceries on their table that came from my card, or the Wi-Fi Ethan never paid for, or the nights I spent rocking the twins when their parents went out for alone time 3 times a week. There's a specific fatigue you can't measure, the one that accumulates every time you swallow your worth. So I did something I hadn't done in years. I put the towel down. I set the laundry basket on the chair. I turned and walked to my room. No one followed me. Why would they? I'd trained them not to see me leave a room unless it was to fetch something. My room was the only place that still obeyed me. I opened the closet and grabbed my duffel. Not neat. No, not that night. It was a sweep, a shove, a quiet storm. Jeans, 2 sweaters, 3 t-shirts, underwear, the comfortable shoes that knew their way around spilled juice and sticky floors, laptop, chargers, a zip folder with my documents. I smelled the lavender sachet I'd bought myself last month, the only thing I'd purchased purely for me, and realized I'd barely noticed it since. In the nightstand, the grocery card and the gas card tied to my account. I slipped them out, held them a moment, felt the heat of anger and the cool click of resolve. Those plastic rectangles were the umbilical cords they'd looped around my throat. I cut them, quietly, and slid them into my wallet. On my way out, I stopped in the twins' doorway. 2 small shapes, 2 slow breaths. I didn't hate them. I never would. What I hated was being the scaffolding while everyone else posed in front of a house I held up. The boys would wake tomorrow. Someone would throw cereal in bowls and call it breakfast, and life would stagger on for a minute, for an hour, until it didn't. The living room was still a chorus of small, smug sounds. Camilla's bracelets clacked. Ethan's controller clicked. Mom's glass thudded against the coaster. I could have said a speech, the one I'd rehearsed in my head 1,000 times, about unpaid debts that weren't money, about the way love becomes labor when you keep cashing it. But speeches are for audiences who care. I walked past them with the duffel on my shoulder and the zip folder tucked under my arm. The front door creaked the way it always had. I had oiled that hinge last month. No one thanked me then, either. Where are you going? Mom asked, not looking away from her screen. Out, I said, and the air cooled around the word. Not angry, not crying, just done. I didn't slam the door. I wanted the quiet to belong to me. The motel I found wasn't fancy. A neon sign winked out 2 letters, so it said "Otel," like it had given up trying to be whole. The room smelled like lemon cleaner and stale air, but when I sat on the edge of the bed and let my duffel slump to the carpet, there was a hush so clean it felt like water after a drought. No cartoons blasting from the TV, no sudden, "Rose, can you?" from down the hall, no little fists on the bathroom door because someone needed me this second. I lay back and stared at a ceiling stained by a leak I didn't have to fix. The silence wasn't empty. It was mine. By morning, my phone was a bouquet of notifications, all bristling and bright. Mom, where did you go? We need to talk. Ethan, You serious right now? Camilla. We have plans tonight. Can you come back? Even my sister Grace, who lives 2 states away and only texts when she wants a favor, had sent a paragraph about family duty. I scrolled. I didn't type. I ordered breakfast. Pancakes that arrived warm and imperfect, syrup in a little plastic coffin. I ate them slow. I watched a dumb movie where problems could be solved in 90 minutes. Then I opened my laptop and started searching for short-term rentals. The kind of place that didn't ask questions about why you're moving in with only 3 mugs and a plant. On the 5th try, I found one. A weekly studio with a kitchenette, a window that faced a messy tree, and a lease that didn't include anyone's expectations. I booked it with my own card. I lifted the phone to my ear to call the landlord and realized my hand was shaking. Freedom and fear can live in the same palm. Back at the OTL, the afternoon light sliced the room into neat shapes. I packed my duffel again, slower this time, like I was folding away a version of myself that needed retiring. The one who said, "It's fine," when it wasn't. Who stood up halfway through dinner to refill glasses because no one else would. Who held her breath when someone made a joke at her expense and pretended it didn't cut. Before I left, I opened my messages again. More came in. Mom, Breezy, and Brittle. We're having dinner tonight. Come by. Ethan. The twins asked for you. Camilla. You left a mess in the laundry. Can you come handle it tomorrow? I stared at that one so long, it went blurry. Even now, even with the bed they hadn't made still warm, they assumed my orbit was theirs to command. I put the phone face down. The studio looked like possibility had a price, and I'd finally paid it. A single bed with a blue quilt, a lamp with a crooked shade I could fix later or ignore forever, a tiny stove that hummed like it was glad to be useful. I unpacked. I chose a shelf and put my 3 mugs on it, one with a chip I never minded, one that said Monday's Child, one plain white like a pause. I bought groceries I liked. Pasta that cooked in 8 minutes, a jar of good olives, bread that cracked under my fingers. I made a grilled cheese and ate it hot, standing by the window, watching the tree. I didn't hear someone say my name from 3 rooms away. I didn't listen for footsteps in the hallway. I didn't brace. When the first evening bled into night, I realized the strangest thing. I had been tired for so long, I'd forgotten how to be anything else. The quiet didn't make me lonely. It made me feel located. I showered without someone banging on the door. I left the towel on the rack and no one moved it. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and the world didn't end. Sometime around midnight, I caught my reflection in the dark window. Loose hair, soft t-shirt, a face that looked older and younger at once, and I laughed. It sounded like a small bell in a bigger room. I crawled into bed. The sheets felt like a decision finished. I should have been terrified. Maybe a part of me was. But another part, older, truer, was already building a spine out of the quiet. The old house would tilt without me there. They'd wobble, insist gravity had changed, blame the floorboards, the neighbors, the economy. They'd call it a collapse. But there's a difference between collapse and consequence. They laughed when Mom said rent. They thought they were reminding me of my place. They didn't know I'd just found it. They didn't know what happens when a pillar walks away. When I woke up the next morning in my new place, I didn't recognize the sound at first. It was nothing. No yelling, no thuds from a controller hitting the couch, no kids fighting over a toy, just the gentle hum of the fridge and birds trying to outsing the traffic. I had forgotten that silence could have texture. I made coffee, not the weak, shared kind my mom insisted on, but strong and dark, exactly the way I liked it. I sat on the small balcony, barefoot, my mug warm between my palms, watching a woman across the courtyard water her plants. For the first time in years, my mind didn't immediately list the things I had to do for someone else. But peace doesn't stay silent forever. When I finally checked my phone, the notifications nearly froze the screen. Dozens of missed calls. Group messages stacked like dominoes. Mom's text came first. "Where did you go, Rose? This is ridiculous. You're worrying everyone." "You can't just walk out like that. Family sticks together." Then Ethan. "You left your stuff. Come get it before we throw it out." Also, the credit card's not working. Did you forget to make the payment? I stared at that one for a long second, then laughed. Out loud. So loud it startled a pigeon off the railing. Forgot? No, I didn't forget. I just stopped. It was almost funny. They were so used to my quiet rescues that they thought the bills paid themselves. that food magically appeared in the fridge, that the Wi-Fi and gas cards worked because the universe liked them best. I set my phone down and smiled at the absurdity of it. My absence wasn't a loss to them yet. It was an inconvenience. They'd feel it soon enough. For the next 2 days, I didn't respond. I worked remotely, cooked actual meals, streamed old shows without pausing to babysit anyone. Every small thing, chopping onions, folding my laundry, felt like rebellion. Then the messages changed tone. Camilla. Hey, the twins really miss you. They've been asking when Aunt Rose is coming back. You can't just abandon family. Mom, electricity bill came back overdue. You were supposed to handle that. Also, the car insurance renewal didn't go through. Ethan, you changed the gas card password? That's petty, Rose. Each message was a reminder that they still didn't see me as a person, just a utility that had gone offline. I ignored them all. By the 5th day, my phone pinged with something different, a voicemail from Mom. Her tone had changed. Rose, honey, we all said things we didn't mean. Maybe you overreacted a little, but I think we should talk. Come home for dinner tonight. I'll make your favorite. I nearly choked on my coffee. Not one word of apology, just another lure. I could practically hear the guilt dripping from her voice, sweet as syrup. I wasn't fooled, but I was curious. Not because I missed them, not because I wanted closure, I just wanted to see, to witness how they looked without the scaffolding I used to be. So I texted back a single word, sure. When I arrived that evening, the house looked smaller, quieter. The lights were dim, the smell of burnt food hung in the air, no laughter, no music. It was unsettling how quickly the family warmth had gone cold. Camilla opened the door with a grin so forced it looked painful. Rose, you came. Her mascara had smudged slightly, her hair tied up in a messy bun that screamed exhaustion. Ethan stood behind her, hands shoved in his hoodie pockets, avoiding eye contact. Mom was at the table, phone face down, something I'd never seen before. Dinner was chicken and rice, store-brand soda instead of her usual red wine. We started with awkward small talk, work, weather, Grace's latest boyfriend. The twins were conveniently spending the night at Camilla's parents'. It was a performance, and every line was rehearsed. After 15 minutes, Mom sighed theatrically, put her fork down, and looked at me the way she used to before delivering a sermon. Rose, I think we can all agree that things got a little tense. But you have to understand, this is your home too. And when you live somewhere, you contribute. That's how families work. I didn't flinch. Camilla jumped in, voice too light to be natural. Exactly. It's not about money. It's about everyone doing their part. Ethan added quietly, yeah, you can't just disappear and expect us to pick up your slack. I stared at the tablecloth. A faint stain of tomato sauce had dried near my plate. The same pattern as the one from months ago. They hadn't even washed it properly. For 2 hours, I listened to the three of them circle the same script. Guilt, blame, justification. They spoke as if I were the selfish one, the ungrateful one, the freeloading daughter who had dared to stop paying for her own exploitation. I didn't argue, not once. When Mom's tone started to sharpen again, I smiled softly and said, "Excuse me, I just need to use the bathroom." The bathroom was exactly as I'd left it. Same broken towel hook, same flickering bulb. The mirror was streaked, the faucet dripping. I locked the door, turned the sink tap on full blast, and let the sound drown out everything. And then I left it running. A small rebellion, not out of pettiness, but because chaos was the only language they ever listened to. I walked out of that bathroom, out of that house, and out of their noise. By the time I reached my car, my phone was buzzing again. Mom shouting, Ethan yelling behind her, Camilla gagging dramatically. I didn't even bother answering. I sent one final message. Maybe next time, don't treat the one person holding your lives together like trash. Then I blocked every number in the family group chat. That night, I went back to my small studio and made myself dinner. Real dinner. Fresh pasta, roasted vegetables, a single glass of wine that I didn't have to pour for anyone else. I sat cross-legged on the floor, TV flickering in the corner, and ate slowly. The food wasn't amazing. The wine was cheap. But the quiet? The quiet was priceless. For the first time, I wasn't exhausted from keeping everyone else's world spinning. I didn't owe anyone an apology or an explanation. I slept without guilt. And when I woke up, I realized something. Freedom isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks or applause. It's the hum of a fridge in the morning, the warmth of sunlight you don't have to rush past, the soft click of locking your own door from the inside. They thought I'd come crawling back after a few days. They didn't know that leaving wasn't my breakdown, it was my beginning. The first week on my own felt like inhaling for the first time in years. The air was thinner, cleaner, and mine. I went to work, focused, productive, even laughed with coworkers for the first time without glancing at my phone to see if someone at home needed me. The guilt came in small waves, but it never stayed long enough to drown me. Then, one morning, I woke up to another flood of notifications. The subject line of the first text made me laugh. Ethan, so, the internet's down. You were supposed to renew it. Then another. Camilla, the kids can't watch their shows. It's chaos here, Rose. And finally, my favorite. Mom, the power company said the bill's in your name. You need to handle this. We can't live like this. I read them while stirring my coffee, amused at how predictable it all was. They weren't reaching out because they missed me. They were reaching out because the safety net they'd taken for granted had vanished. I took a long sip of my coffee, then typed a single word back. No. Then I turned off my phone and went about my day. That evening, I got home to find a small envelope slipped under my apartment door. No return address. Inside was a crumpled note in my mother's handwriting. You made your point. Come home. We'll talk like adults. I traced her looping cursive and smiled bitterly. Adults, she'd written. The same woman who called me dramatic whenever I cried, ungrateful whenever I said no, and selfish for wanting a life. Still, curiosity got the better of me. I wanted to see them again. Not for closure, but for confirmation. That I wasn't crazy. That their version of love was always just manipulation dressed as family loyalty. So I texted Mom. Dinner sounds good. What time? Her reply came instantly. 7, your favorite. Roast chicken. Right. My favorite. The meal I always cooked while they sat on the couch. When I pulled into the driveway that night, the house looked different. Or maybe I did. The grass was untrimmed, the porch light flickered, and the air felt heavier, like guilt had soaked into the walls. Camilla opened the door, her smile stretched thin. Rose, you look good. I glanced at her. Puffy eyes, unwashed hair, nervous energy. Ethan hovered behind her, pretending to scroll his phone, and Mom sat at the table, her lips pressed into a polite smile. The table was set, but it looked wrong. Store-brand soda instead of wine, paper napkins instead of cloth. The smell of burnt garlic hung in the air. We started eating in silence. Camilla tried small talk, about the twins' school play, about how busy they'd been. But no one laughed. Mom finally broke the silence. Rose, we've been talking, and we think it's time to stop all this nonsense. You had your little break, but now it's time to come home. I blinked. Come home? She nodded, voice soft but sharp. Yes, you made your point, but you can't just walk away from family. You live here. You should contribute. That's how it works. Camilla nodded eagerly, twisting her bracelet. We just want things back the way they were. It was easier for everyone. I laughed quietly. Easier for who? Mom frowned. Don't start with that attitude again. We all need each other. Ethan muttered under his breath. Yeah, we've been struggling because of you. There it was, the truth hiding behind every guilt trip. I wasn't family. I was their insurance policy. I set my fork down. You know what's funny? I was paying rent. Every grocery run, every bill in my name, every night I gave up sleep for your kids. That was rent. The difference is, you never noticed because I didn't send an invoice. Mom's nostrils flared. Don't twist this, Rose. We gave you a place to stay. Right, I said softly, standing up. And I gave you a life that worked. She blinked, confused. What's that supposed to mean? It means you only started noticing the cracks once I stopped patching them. Camilla rolled her eyes. Oh, please, you're being dramatic again. I smiled, calm. You'll see how dramatic I can be. Then I excused myself. Bathroom. I walked down the hall, the familiar floorboards creaking like old ghosts. Inside, the bathroom mirror caught my reflection. Tired eyes, steady hands. I turned on the faucet, let the water run until it spilled over the edge of the sink, dripping onto the floor. I twisted the shower knob halfway, steam rising slowly, fogging the mirror. It wasn't destruction, it was a reminder that I was no longer the one fixing their leaks. I left the water running, unlocked the door, and walked out without a word. Mom called after me, Rose, where are you going? We're not done talking. But I was. By the time I reached my car, I could already picture the chaos, the yelling, the panic, the mess. For once, none of it was mine to clean. My phone buzzed halfway home. I didn't answer, then again and again. Finally, I glanced down at the screen. Mom, shouting. Ethan yelling in the background, Camilla coughing between words. I put the phone on speaker, took a deep breath, and said, maybe next time, treat the one person holding your lives together like she matters. Then I hung up. I blocked their numbers. The next day, my apartment felt even warmer. I went to the store, bought fresh flowers, and set them on the counter. I made pancakes just for me, flipping them in peace. I even lit a candle, lavender, the kind my mom used to hate. That night, sitting on my couch with the city lights flickering through the window, I caught myself smiling for no reason. It wasn't joy exactly, it was something quieter, steadier. Freedom. It's strange how silence, once terrifying, can start to sound like music when you realize no one's screaming your name through it. And deep down I knew they'd call again. They always did. But this time I'd let the phone ring. Because they weren't calling for me. They were calling for what I used to give them. And that version of me was gone. 2 weeks passed. The days blended softly. Sunlight through thin curtains, coffee and quiet mornings, work calls that ended with genuine smiles instead of forced ones. My little apartment was still half empty, but it felt full of something better, peace. I thought they might finally give up trying to pull me back, but I should have known better. The first message came from an unknown number. It was a picture. The twins, holding up crayon signs that said, "We miss you, Aunt Rose," underneath a text from Camilla. "They cry for you every night. Please, just come talk. They don't understand why you're being so cruel." Cruel. The word made me laugh. Because that's what happens when you stop being convenient. You become cruel. I didn't answer. 2 days later, a message from Mom. "We're having a family dinner. No pressure, no drama, just want to talk. 7 p.m. Love you." That "love you" at the end looked so unnatural, I almost admired the effort. Still, curiosity tugged again. I wanted to see what version of the story they were telling themselves this time. So I wrote back simply, "Sure, see you at 7. When I arrived, the house looked strangely polished. The kind of fake clean where everything shines on the surface but smells faintly of mildew underneath. The air inside felt staged. Camilla opened the door, beaming too hard. "You came." Ethan poured me a drink before I even sat down, his grin nervous and tight. Mom fluttered around the table like a hostess who'd rehearsed every move. For a few minutes, they pretended we were a normal family again. Camilla told a long story about the twins' teacher. Ethan bragged about a new project at work that I suspected didn't exist. Mom nodded and hummed, smiling like she'd forgotten the last screaming match we'd had. But I noticed the details. How the fridge hummed louder than usual. How the fruit bowl was empty. How Mom's bracelet, the one Dad had given her years ago, was missing. Something was crumbling underneath all that fake peace. Halfway through dinner, the script slipped. Mom sighed, set her fork down, and said, "Rose, we've been going through a tough time since you left. The bills, the twins, everything. It's been hard." I stayed quiet. Camilla jumped in. "The kids ask for you every day. It's been rough. We just want things to feel normal again." Ethan leaned forward. "You're doing so well now. Maybe we can reset things. You could move back for a while. Just until we're stable again. It'll help everyone." I blinked. "Move back?" Mom nodded eagerly. "Yes, sweetheart. You could help with the kids, contribute a bit again. Family is family." There it was, the real reason for the performance. They weren't here to apologize, they were recruiting. I stared at them for a long moment, then asked softly, "What's changed?" Camilla tilted her head, frowning. "What do you mean?" "What's changed?" I repeated. "Since the day you laughed when Mom said I should pay rent to live in the house I practically ran." The silence that followed was thick, brittle. Ethan muttered, "We just want peace." I smiled faintly. "You want relief. That's not the same thing." Mom's voice sharpened. "Rose, enough of this attitude. We're trying to fix things." "Are you?" I asked. "Or are you trying to fix your comfort?" For a heartbeat, no one spoke. Then Camilla forced a laugh and said, "You're really enjoying this, huh? Making us beg." I stood up, calmly. "No, I'm just finally enjoying a dinner that's honest." Mom's eyes glinted with fury. "If you walk out again, don't expect this door to stay open." I met her gaze and said, "That's the point, Mom. It shouldn't have to." Then I smiled politely. "Excuse me, I'll just use the bathroom before I go." Her expression flickered with confusion. I walked down the hallway, quiet, methodical. This time, the sabotage wasn't anger. It was closure. I smeared a thin layer of jam under the towel rack, turned the sink handle so it dripped, loosened the toilet lever just enough that it would keep running. Small reminders, little echoes of what it felt like to have me there, holding everything together. I left without saying goodbye. By the time I got home, my phone was already lighting up. Camilla. You're disgusting, psycho. Ethan, you think this is funny? We're done. Mom, I raised a monster. I smiled, tossed my phone on the couch, and poured myself a drink. That night, I signed the lease for my new apartment. 1 bedroom, top floor, overlooking a park. A little more expensive, but worth every cent. No shared walls with people who thought my kindness was a resource. No one to ask why the dishes weren't done. No one to turn me into the villain of their convenience. A few weeks later, I received an email from work. Promotion. Full title, full benefits, full raise. I sat there for a long time, staring at the screen, then burst out laughing. I opened a bottle of cheap champagne, cooked myself steak, and celebrated alone. Not lonely, but free. In the quiet glow of the evening, I whispered to the version of myself that used to stay silent. You did it, you walked away. Then I added with a grin, and you're never going back. They still hadn't realized it yet, but they were about to. Because people like them don't know how to survive when the person they drained finally stops refilling the well. Freedom has a way of reshaping you. The longer I stayed gone, the more the fog lifted. I started sleeping through the night, stopped checking my phone compulsively, and even caught myself humming while cooking. For the first time, my life wasn't built around anyone else's schedule. But toxic people never truly disappear. They just go quiet long enough to plan their next manipulation. It started with a new notification on my phone, a tag on LinkedIn. Mom had liked my promotion post. Ethan had commented, "Proud of my little sis." Camilla had even shared it, writing, "So happy for you. Family means celebrating together." I laughed out loud. That fake support was just bait. They wanted everyone to think we were close again. But what really set things off came 3 days later. My phone buzzed nonstop. The group chat, the one I'd muted weeks ago, was exploding. Ethan, you're making money now and just letting us drown? Wow. Camilla, must be nice to forget family when you're successful. Mom, we raised you better than this. You used to be a good girl, Rose. Then came the one that actually made me snort. You owe us for everything we did for you. Right. Because letting me live in my own house while raising their kids was such a noble favor. I was about to block them again when another message appeared, one that froze me. A video. It was shaky, filmed on Ethan's phone. He was in my old bedroom, kneeling on the carpet, prying up a loose floorboard. Camilla's voice behind the camera said, "Is it really there?" Then the frame tilted, and I saw it, my old locked metal box. The box I'd hidden years ago, filled with important files, tax papers, client data, backup drives, things from when I first started freelancing. Stuff I'd meant to grab, but forgot in the chaos of leaving. Ethan looked straight into the camera and smirked. Family shares everything, right? The message that followed said, "Maybe come talk to us before we open it." My heart didn't even race. That surprised me. I didn't panic. I just felt cold clarity. They thought they had power again, but what they really had was a box full of fire I could control. I texted my friend Liam, a cybersecurity specialist from work. "Need your help, fast." He called within minutes. "Hey, you okay?" "I'm fine," I said calmly. "Just need to make sure that if someone plugs a drive into anything, it self-destructs." He chuckled. "Someone stealing your data?" "Family," I said dryly. "Long story." Within 20 minutes, Liam remotely wiped every device linked to my old accounts. The hard drives, the backup USB, the synced folders, all gone. Blank, unreadable. He texted back, "Done! Whoever tries to open that box now will get corrupted files and a headache." I smiled, relief spreading like quiet thunder. Then I typed a single message to Ethan. "You had one chance to be decent. It's over now." I never got a reply, but later that night, I saw multiple login attempts on my email, then my work account. They were trying to guess my passwords. My company's security team flagged the IP instantly, from my old home address. The next morning, HR called me in. They'd frozen my accounts temporarily, just in case. When I explained what happened, my boss didn't even blink. "We've seen worse. We'll handle it." By lunch, their IP was permanently banned, and the company's legal department offered to send a cease and desist. "Would you like to press charges?" they asked. I hesitated. "Not yet. Just keep record of everything." The next week was blissfully silent, until it wasn't. Camilla went public. A Facebook post, emotional and manipulative, with an old photo of me holding the twins. Her caption read, "Family shouldn't abandon family, especially not when kids are involved. Some people forget who fed them when they had nothing." Within an hour, her friends flooded the comments with sympathy. "You're too kind, Camilla. How could she do that to you? Those poor kids." Then something unexpected happened. My own friends started commenting. Coworkers, people who actually knew the truth. Liam posted screenshots of Venmo payments labeled electricity bill, groceries, school supplies. Another friend added old texts where Camila begged for money. Someone else even shared a snippet of a group chat where Camila called me free babysitter with Wi-Fi. The tide turned fast. Within a day, the comments shifted. Wait, wasn't Rose the one paying your bills? Yikes, this backfired. You don't deserve her kindness. By morning, the post was gone, deleted. But the damage was done, not to me, to them. Everyone in their circle knew now. Mom tried calling that night. When I didn't answer, she left a voicemail dripping with venom. You've humiliated this family. You think you're better than us now? You called strangers to attack your own blood. I deleted it mid-sentence. Days passed, then another blow hit. A letter from the DMV. Parking tickets in my name. Dozens of them. I looked at the car model listed and realized, my old car, the one I'd signed over to Ethan months ago. He never transferred ownership. I sent copies of the title transfer and proof of my move. The DMV investigated, and 2 weeks later, the car was repossessed. Ethan's furious message came that night. You got my car towed, you heartless witch! I didn't answer. The next day, there was pounding on my apartment door. I peeked through the peephole. Ethan. Red-faced, shouting. Open up, Rose, you ruined everything. You called the cops, didn't you? I didn't move. I called the police, voice steady. When they arrived, he tried to spin his story, until I showed them the texts, the video of him breaking into my room, the hacking attempts. The officers looked at me. Would you like to press charges? I thought about it for a long second, then shook my head. No, just want it on record. They made him leave. He walked away humiliated, kicking at the curb like a child denied candy. Hours later, Mom texted from another number. You called the cops on your own brother. I don't even recognize you anymore. I didn't reply. That was the last time any of them heard from me. After that, I blocked every number, deleted every message, every trace. I was done being the emergency contact for a family that treated me like a fire extinguisher, break glass when convenient. They wanted to play cruel? I was finally learning that cruelty and boundaries look the same to people who mistake control for love. 3 weeks passed without a word from any of them. The silence was different this time. Not just quiet, but hollow, like the world was finally adjusting to the space I'd left behind. For the first time in months, I didn't flinch every time my phone buzzed. I slept through the night, woke up early, started running again. I planted herbs on my balcony, mint, rosemary, basil, and smiled every time the wind carried their scent inside. But peace, I've learned, doesn't stay pure for long when your past still owes you chaos. It started with a whisper. A coworker leaned over my desk one morning. Hey, Rose, are you okay? I frowned. Yeah, why? She hesitated. I saw something online. You should check Facebook. My stomach dropped, but I already knew who it was before I even opened the app. Camilla, again. Another post. Longer this time. Dripping with performative grief. We all make mistakes, but some people choose to erase their family instead of forgiving them. I pray for my sister-in-law every night. I hope one day she remembers where she came from. Attached was a collage of photos. Me holding the twins, me setting the dinner table, me asleep on the couch with a baby in my arms. The caption ended with, people can hide behind success, but family always knows the truth. Hundreds of comments again. Sympathy, pity, curiosity. But I didn't panic. I just scrolled slowly because I knew what was coming. Within an hour, the narrative started to crack. My friends, coworkers, and even old neighbors flooded the thread, posting screenshots, receipts, and memories that contradicted every word. Didn't she pay your bills for years? Weren't you the one who called her your free nanny? Girl, delete this before you embarrass yourself again. By afternoon, the post vanished. Camilla had always been good at playing the victim, but this time, the mask had slipped too far. Still, the fallout didn't end there. 2 days later, I got an email from the city's legal office. The car I'd signed over to Ethan had racked up not just tickets, but towing fees. And in a last attempt to spite me, he'd tried to claim I'd stolen it back. I sent them copies of the sale, the messages, and the police report. The case was closed within 24 hours. The car was seized and the debt transferred to Ethan's name. That night, I received one final message from Mom. No hi, no Rose, just, you destroyed your brother's life. You called the police. You should be ashamed. I stared at the message for a long time, then I deleted it. No anger, no tears, just peace. I realized something that night. People who depend on your silence will always call your boundaries betrayal. The next morning, I made myself breakfast, brewed coffee, and watched the sunlight climb up the wall like a promise. I had nothing left to defend. A week later, I heard through a neighbor that Camilla had been fired. Someone had filmed her screaming at a customer in the parking lot. The video went viral. The comments were brutal. I didn't gloat, not really, but I won't lie. There was a strange calm in knowing that karma had just been patient, not absent. 2 days after that, another letter came. Not a text, not an email, a real letter, written in Mom's familiar handwriting. We're having hard times. The boys miss you. You were always the responsible one. Family should forgive, not punish. Call me, please. No apology, not one word of remorse, just guilt dressed as love. I folded the letter neatly, set it in the trash, and took it out with the rest. I'd spent years mistaking manipulation for affection, obligation for love, and guilt for connection. Not anymore. That night, I sat by the window of my new apartment, the city lights blinking like scattered memories. My place was still modest, a couch, a bookshelf, a view of the park, but it was mine. Every bill, every choice, every quiet breath was mine. I poured myself a glass of wine and whispered to the empty room, "You did it, Rose. You finally let them collapse without trying to rebuild." A soft wind brushed through the window. The herbs swayed gently. The air smelled like basil and freedom. And in that stillness, I understood what peace really meant. It wasn't forgetting them. It was no longer carrying them. They're still out there, blaming everyone but themselves, still searching for someone new to hold their house together. But I'm done being the foundation for people who only remembered me when the roof caved in. I live 10 minutes away now, debt-free, steady, earning more than I ever thought possible. They used to call me the babysitter, the helper, the backup plan, the family crutch. But the truth, I was the backbone. And when I walked away, everything fell apart, exactly how it should.